Let's talk about expressing your emotions in German. I'm going to give you the do's and don'ts of expressing 6 common emotions in German, and let me tell you, direct translation is not your friend. If you translate from any language directly to German, you are probably going to sound like a German learner. But with the phrases I give you today, you will sound more like a native speaker and you will be more fluent. Emotion number 1 is happiness. Everyone wants to express that, right? If you translate it directly from English, you might say, ich bin froh. Froh means happiness or happy. That's not necessarily wrong, but it's not the common phrase that everyone uses when they want to express happiness in German. And it really depends on the context here. If you want to say that you're happy for someone, which comes up a lot, right? You want to say, oh, I'm happy for you. I'm very excited for you. Then you would want to say, ich freue mich. And you could say, ich freue mich für dich. I'm happy for you. Ich freue mich für Sarah. I'm happy for Sarah.
Ich mache Urlaub in Mallorca. Ich freue mich für dich.
Ich freue mich is also good if you want to say that you're happy for something that's going to happen in the future. Like, oh, ich freue mich. You know, I'm glad that we're going to be doing that.
Ich freue mich auf meinen Urlaub in Mallorca. Ich freue mich für dich.
Now, if you want to express happiness in the moment, native German speakers tend to kind of tone it down. They don't necessarily say, oh yeah, I'm happy right now, but they do say, I'm content, which is zufrieden. So you might want to say, ich bin zufrieden, if someone comes and asks you. And that comes up a lot at the restaurants, like, oh, how are you guys doing? If the waiter comes by and asks that, you might say, oh, ich bin zufrieden. Or they might ask you, you know, sind Sie zufrieden? Are you satisfied and content? So that's also a good one. Now, one related emotion, which is our next one, is excitement. And if you translate that directly, it translates to begeistert or aufgeregt. But there's a lot of nuance to this as well. If you say ich bin begeistert, that could mean that you're very excited about something, you're very passionate about something. If you want to say you're excited for something that's going to happen in the future, again, you would say ich freue mich. Ich freue mich. If you say ich bin begeistert, it sounds very strong if you're just talking about some kind of future thing. It's a lot more common to say ich freue mich. I'm looking forward to it. And then we have aufgeregt, which you use if you don't want to say ich freue mich, basically. It could be neutral, like I'm just excited in general, or it could be negative, like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of worried excited. So ich bin aufgeregt is good.
So viele. Ich bin aufgeregt.
So a related emotion, and our next emotion is worry. Now you could translate this directly into German as ich bin besorgt or ich bin nervös, which means I am nervous. So ich bin nervös, that's a pretty good one if you want to say that you're nervous. Ich bin besorgt, I rarely if ever hear that. It's more used to describe how other people look. So if you want to say you're worried like a German native speaker, you're going to have to use a phrase that's a little awkward in English. You would never say it this way in English, but it's ich mache mir Sorgen. I make myself worries. And that's the most common way to say it. Ich mache mir Sorgen. I'm making myself worries. If you want to say what you're worried about, you could say ich mache mir Sorgen And then whatever you're worried about, you put it after. Ich mache mir Sorgen dich. I'm worried about you. Ich mache mir Sorgen die Katze. I'm worried about the cat. Ich mache mir Sorgen das Haus. I'm worried about the house. So it might not come naturally, but you've got to get that in your head if you want to speak like a local.
Ich mache mir Sorgen Lina. Oh, ich mache mir Sorgen meinen Fisch.
Related to being worried is scared, right? So you could say ich bin erschrocken or ich bin verängstigt if you translate directly. But those are not very common. Erschrocken sounds more like you're kind of shocked or surprised in the moment. Verängstigt, I haven't heard that hardly ever. The most common way to say I am scared is ich habe Angst. I have fear. And that's not the way you would say it in English, right? You would say I am afraid, but in German it's ich habe Angst, and that's just more colloquial.
Ich habe Angst. Es ist genauso dunkel wie der Mond.
Then we have anger, right? Anger. If you translate anger directly, it is like ich bin wütend, ich bin böse, ich bin verärgert. And these all kind of make sense, but you've got to keep the shades of meaning in mind. Like ich bin wütend is very, very strong. So you're rarely that angry and rarely hear that in normal conversation. Ich bin verärgert, you could say that. The most common one, at least in Bavaria, is ich bin böse. Ich bin böse. I am angry. And if you look it up in a dual language dictionary, it might also say böse translates to evil, but that's not, in this context, that's not what it means. And if you want to say who you're angry at or who the other person's angry at, you could say auf. So ich bin böse auf dich. I'm angry at you. Ich bin böse auf Fred. I'm angry at Fred. Ich bin böse auf Helga. Angry at Helga.
Ich bin böse auf Remulan. Hat mein Raumschiff geklaut.
And last but not least, we have sad, which is ich bin traurig. And it's really that simple. All you have to do is say ich bin traurig.
Ich bin traurig. Mein Fisch ist krank.
Okay, let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and join me for more German in another video. Tschüss!